Hello and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. Coming to you from the digital world, I'll be your Mamodo master, Dave Trumbore. Joining me as always, he's one of the Digi-destined. He's Sean Paul Ellis. How's it going, sir?
David. I'm doing well, buddy. How about yourself?
I'm doing real good, man. And you know why? Because we're getting into the final round, Pocket Monster March Madness month.
Is it almost over?
It's thankfully almost over.
Is it seriously almost over?
Yeah, we're just about done. We're gonna tally everything up at the end of this episode, and we will see how our scores stack up against the listeners out there on IMDb.
Nice. Oh,
it's been a haul. It's been interesting. It's been a fun adventure. We're about to bring it home, but we're gonna need a little help to do that. So you have somebody over there that can help us out?
I do. I'm going to, like you summoned somebody last week, I'm going to summon somebody from my book of spells. So, spell 1, Tony Lazzaroni.
I'm going to take you all down.
Oh, wow, that backfired on you. Backfired on you
Really?
real quick.
Really? Oh, man.
We got to work on our
bad.
summoning spells. My summon last week was not super happy to be here either. So
I am so bad at magic, guys. It is disgusting.
we got to work on our magic. Hey, Tony, welcome back to the show.
Thank
Hey.
you, sir. Much appreciated.
Yeah, Tony is the producer and director for Crowded Elevator Pictures. So we are super happy to have you back.
Thank you much. I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, we'll see how happy Tony is after we actually get into these shows here.
Yeah, okay. I'm passively aggressively okay with being back.
Sounds more like it. So tonight, listeners out there, we're going to be talking about the 9th and 10th final shows of this series, Pocket Monster March Madness Month. And of course, tonight we're going to be talking Digimon, which had a 7.2 rating on IMDb, and Zatch Bell, which had a 7.0 rating on IMDb. Now, these two are the closest that we have, so they're actually kind of like the middle of the pack of the 10 that we had. These should theoretically be the most comparable. I don't think that they are, but we'll figure that out when we get into the discussion. Before we dig into that, Sean's going to give us a little bit of the background on Digimon. Sean?
Sure. So Digimon, branded as Digimon, Digital Monsters, or in Japan, Digitaru Mansuta, is a Japanese media franchise encompassing virtual pets, toys, anime, manga, video games, film, and a trading card game. The franchise was created in 1997 as a series of virtual pets akin to and influenced in the style of the contemporary Tamagotchi or Nano Gigapet toys, which I very distinctly remember. The creatures were first designed to look cute and iconic, even on a device that has a small screen. Later developments had them created with a harder edge style influenced by American comics. The franchise gained momentum with its first anime incarnation, Digimon Adventure, and an early video game, Digimon World, both released in 1999.
Cool. And for a little bit of history on Zatch Bell, I will take you through that. So Zatch Bell, known in Japan as Konjiki no Gash, which literally translates into one of my favorite titles I think I've ever said on this show. Golden Gash with 2 exclamation points.
Oh boy.
Yeah, is a shonen manga series written and illustrated by Makoto Raikou. It was published in Shogakukan's Weekly Shonen Sunday. The manga was later adapted into a 150-episode anime TV series titled Konjiki no Gash Bell, which again translates into Golden Gash Bell, by Toei Animation. The anime was directed by Tetsuji Nakamura. Golden Gash Bell premiered on Fuji TV on April 6, 2003, ran until March of 2006. I believe in the States, I think it just debuted on Toonami or
That's where I remember
Run
hearing
or something like that.
That's where I remember hearing it.
I think it was in 2003, but I'm not entirely sure. But obviously, we changed the title to Zatch Bell for reasons that are still unclear to me. But
super unclear.
Super unclear. In addition to an array of licensed merchandise, series also spawned a series of video games and 2 animated films. But we're going to be focused mostly on this series tonight. And just to catch listeners up out there for Pocket Monster March Madness Month, we have watched the English version of these series. And we've only watched the first episode of each series so that we have a consistent point of comparison throughout the series. So, yeah, the first episode for all of them probably isn't going to be the best representation of the show. Some cases are worse than others, however, but that's the only way we could keep them consistent.
Every time we do this disclaimer, it's just a list of mistakes that we made while setting this month up.
Especially like, here's what we intended. Here's how it all worked out. Here's how it went wrong.
This episode's just going to start with an I'm sorry.
Oh, it should. This is definitely, like I said, this is a tale of 2 series for me, but I'm curious to see how you guys feel about it. But listeners, in case you're not familiar with either Digimon or Zatch Bell, we're going to give you a brief synopsis. So, Sean, what do you have for Digimon?
So Digimon, the franchise focuses on Digimon creatures, which are monsters living in a digital world, a parallel universe that originated from Earth's various communication networks. In many incarnations, Digimon are raised by humans called Digidestin, or Tamers, and they are teamed up to defeat evil Digimon and human villains who are trying to destroy the fabric of the digital world.
Wonderful. Now for something completely different, Zatch Bell. The series follows Kyo Takamine and his Mamodo, which is a translation for the literal word demon, partner Zatch Bell as they try to win the tournament of Mamodo battles in order to make Zatch the king of the Mamodo world. That's pretty much all you need to know at this point. There's a lot of history and lore and backstory, but since the first episode doesn't give a shit about it, neither do we for our purposes right now. Before we get into the discussion, Tony, were you familiar with either Digimon or Zatch Bell before tonight's episode?
I was a big Digimon fan back in the day. I did watch most of that series, at least the original one. I know they've done a couple different versions since, but Zatch Bell, first time I heard of it was when you sent the email about this episode. That was out of left field, and wish it would have remained there. But let's continue on.
No,
Sean, how about
this is going to be a tough episode now for
it's gonna
everybody.
Be a tough one for Sean. It's going to be tough for Sean. I think I put Zatch Bell on the list because I remembered it just when we were talking about our criteria for Pocket Monster stuff, which is, again, very basically, you have a protagonist, he goes on some kind of quest, he collects some sort of weird creature, he trains them to battle other weird creatures, and then there's probably some sort of overarching bigger threat or something like that. That's it. That's the baseline for these shows. And honestly, I feel pretty confident in saying that all 10 of them have met those expectations. It's just the execution of them has been very, very different.
Again, just a list of hashtag mistakes that we've made along the way.
Yeah, for round 2, we're never going to do this again. But for round 2, we'll...
No, I want to do this. I definitely want to do this again.
I don't think there's any shows left, or if they are, they're all super obscure.
We've had at least 2 from users on Facebook
that
have mentioned things that would be a fun pairing to go against one another.
Yeah, more contemporary things. But yeah.
Right.
No, I'd definitely love to do more versus episodes in the future. I just don't know if it'll be Pocket Monster Madness in the future.
We'll torture ourselves with something else.
Yes, something else that we'll spend 5 weeks just exhausting ourselves watching the same story over and over again.
You ought to honestly take the worst of the worst. Take the worst reviewed things that have been on the show and put them pit them against each other to determine what's the worst show.
Oh man,
that would be fun.
Well, we are currently on episode 94 right now, and so we're coming up to the point where we might have 100 episodes worth of material to go back, 100 episodes worth of shows and material to go back on to bracket.
We should do a big bracket ranking of our previous episodes.
Guys, you heard it right here. Episode 101 through 200 is going to be a bracket of everything that we've already covered.
It's just going to re-rank the previous 100 episodes. The 100 best episodes of Saturday morning cartoons ranked.
My prediction is Dino Riders is going to sweep.
I think Dino Riders number 1.
No, not at all.
It was pretty good, though.
I did enjoy it.
All right, Sean, did you watch Digimon or Zatch Bell before tonight's recording here?
I watched a considerable amount of Digimon.
Okay.
And I was aware, and I believe that I had watched some Zatch Bell when I was in college.
Okay.
On, again, as we mentioned, Toonami, late night Toonami. I remember there were times where I would turn on Toonami. I believe it came on 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Yeah, it was one of the later ones, yeah.
And then it would reset itself around 2:30 in the morning.
Right.
And I would rewatch a majority of the episodes because I wasn't tired.
Yeah,
wait,
why not?
You rewatch which show?
I would rewatch the entire, several, the entire, yeah.
Yeah, but which show? So Zatch Bell you would rewatch?
No, I mean, I was watching it during a time where, the shows that I distinctly rememed, it was Cowboy Bebop, Trigun.
I love Trigun.
So a lot of those shows were
Outlaw
on.
Star?
Yeah, Outlaw Star was on at a point in time. There was I'm trying to remember what's.
Yeah, for another time we can run through the whole. We'll probably just go back and check out the whole Midnight Run Toonami catalog. Because that'd be a fun one for us to revisit. Yeah.
Yeah, there was just a lot of fun stuff that was on at that time, and so it was a joy to kind of watch it. And then because I was always doing schoolwork at the same time and partially paying attention, when it would hit that 2 to 2:30 block when it would reset, I was usually then done with everything that I was doing, and I could pay attention to the show then.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah,
cool. So let's jump into these here. Again, listeners, if you haven't listened to our previous 4 episodes of Pocket Monster Month, what we're going to do now is kind of a round robin. Each of us is going to get a minute to talk about one of 5 different criteria for each of these shows. And then we'll have a minute or so at the end to kind of like collect our thoughts. If we, if one of our arguments convinced another person to change their score, then we'll kind of repeat that and see how that goes. But the criteria we're going to be going through are the theme song, the character design, which includes the humans and the monsters in this. We're going to talk about the game or the battle mechanics, which includes monster transitions, how they come from wherever their space is to be on a field of battle, or what the rules of engagement basically are. And then we'll talk about the plot of this particular episode, and then we will get to my favorite of the criteria, the boss. And not just because it's fun to talk about the boss, it's because someone always has a different idea of who the boss actually is, which is always fun.
I believe that some of my answers tonight might be surprising.
I'm sure they will be. I'm sure all of your answers will be surprising tonight. So actually, Sean, with that, let's get into it. We'll give you the horn first. We're going to put you on the clock for a minute and give us your impression of the Digimon theme song.
So this theme song is immediately recognizable, but at the same time, it is also extremely repetitious. I attempted to listen again objectively to this, and I felt that it droned on a bit, and yet it's still an earworm for me. So This is one of the first times where I've really been invested in a theme song and yet also annoyed with it at the same time.
Okay.
I think some of the animation we've talked about is a little bit of a Eclipse show or Eclipse theme song format that we have, and the moment where we have the children kind of spinning very quickly, to me, the more I watched it, the more dizzying it became. Like to the point where I almost felt like I was getting vertigo by proxy of just watching this. But you know what? I'll say for this theme song, I can still sing the whole like change into digital monsters. Even if I haven't watched the theme song or listened to it in years, I can still remember it distinctly.
Awesome. Technically, it was changed into digital champions, but that's fine. I'll let that go. So Tony, what was your
nerd?
This is one of my favorites ever. Tony, what was your take on it?
In my early work history, I had a manager whose last name was DG Amarino, and everybody called him DG. And so every time I saw him, like to start the day, he was only like a couple years older than me, but every time I saw him to start the day, I'd be like, Digimon digital manager.
That poor guy.
And it took him, I think, like at least a couple months before he finally was like, "What is that? What are you referencing?" And so I like sent him like a YouTube link or something like that to it. And so from then on, he was kind of into it. Like he'd bob his head every time I did it.
He had his own personal theme song. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. And no, I mean, I enjoyed this one. I thought it was a good take on just something that I think simple and repetitious isn't necessarily a bad thing because, like you said, it's an earworm. It sticks with you.
Yeah.
So no, I was a fan of this theme song.
Yeah. So I agree with you guys that it was kind of repetitive. I think it was the same kind of in that same league for me with Yu-Gi-Oh, because Yu-Gi-Oh just kind of said his name over and over again. But then they had these little kind of like breakdowns in between where they would just re-engage the audience and give you a little bit of an idea of what's going on. So they didn't tell a full story, but they told enough of a story. They're like, we've got digital monsters. They're called Digimon. They digivolve into different like versions, different levels. So champion level, whatever the next one was. And then
Ultimate.
Thank you. And then
I'll let that one slide this time.
Nicely done. So
asshole.
So then one of my favorite things wasn't just the theme song itself, which was kind of repetitive, but it was still fun. I liked that visually they actually showed you the different monsters and their transitions and where they would eventually become. When you would see them in the show was up for interpretation, or you just had to wait and see. But I love that they showed just a range of all the monsters too. So visually, they definitely got me involved. And then, like you guys said, it was an earworm. So all good. Let's go back around the horn and we'll do our scores for each one. So Sean, what do you have for a score of the theme song of Digimon?
Despite the fact that it is dizzying and very repetitious, I still give it a 4.
All right, 4 out of 5 sounds good. Tony, what about you?
I'm also going with a 4. I agree with that ranking.
That's 3 4s out of 3 5s, I guess. So that's 4 for each of us. I think a lot of that's a nostalgia factor.
Yay, math!
Honestly, yeah, 3 4s out of 3 5s. That's 112 out of 115.
Nice.
And now for a completely...
You're sounding very, very Bernie Sanders
drunk.
there with the 1/4 of 1%.
Yeah, this is socialism as taught by Digimon.
Oh no.
We're gonna shift over. We're gonna continue with the theme of the theme song theme tonight, but we're gonna talk about a very different style of theme song from Zatch Bell. Now, Sean actually brought us a second version of this, which I'm glad that he did, because the first one that I watched, well, we'll get into it, but I'll give that over to Sean now. So, the theme song of Zatch Bell, buddy. What do you think about this one?
I really want to ask the question to both of you. Do you know who's got the power?
Oh boy.
Because I do. Oddly enough, I was listening to this and Melanie Harker, friend of the show, was sitting there listening as well, and she goes, "Are you listening to Fall Out Boy?"
Oh.
And then
Did you tell her it was Yellow Card?
I went, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, that one song." And we looked it up, and it turns out it is very similar to Fall Out Boy's "This Ain't a Scene."
Okay.
Feel free to go back and feel free to go back and listen to both of them. A lot of similarities that are in this. I will say you see some quick baddies for the show, and the bonus for this is that it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's 30 minutes, and that's or 30 seconds.
Holy shit! I was gonna say if this theme song was 30 minutes long.
Apologize. The theme.
Is that why I hated this show?
Yeah, because it felt like 30 minutes.
The theme song for this is 30 seconds, which is a real bonus because we've had some theme songs that have overstayed their welcome. And so this got in and it got out, and it showed us a little demon duck doll face.
It sure did. Tony, what was your take on this one?
Speaking of this theme getting in and getting out, I got out very early on it. I don't know. I'm even the second version that we sent out, the quasi 80s 90s rock pop version. I wasn't a fan. I think because I had just listened to the episode where you guys were talking about the yellow card thing, which I disagree. That doesn't sound like yellow card. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
There's no electric violin solo in that one. But no, I was just looking. I was trying to pick out what style it was, what it reminded me of, and it's such a mishmash of crap that I think it's just general crap. Will do for me for a description of that one.
Okay.
Fair enough. Yeah, when I watched this the first time, first of all, the one that I watched was there were no lyrics. It was just music, and it was just like not even real music. It was just like weird noises, just like weird bell tones and like an odd assortment of things, and then to like a clip show a visual. So I honestly, when I first ranked this, I was like, this is 0, because it's literally not even a theme song. It's just a weird collection of noises together. I changed that once Sean sent out a secondary theme song that actually did have some really basic lyrics to it. Which Sean has mentioned. Zatch Bell has the power, I think.
Yes.
I'm honestly not even sure because I tuned
the
this thing
line
out
it says, "You know who's got the power. You know who's got
Static
to cast
Shock.
the spell." If you, oh damn it!
It's not Static Shock.
No, it's not Static Shock.
Damn it! I'd rather go back and watch Static Shock.
All right.
No, so I mean, for me, this was like I was like, this isn't even a theme song. So, Sean, what did you score this one out of 5?
I scored this with a 3.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. It wasn't as much of an earworm as Digimon, but I still got into it, and I like a little nod to Fall Out Boy every once in a while.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
All right.
What are they up to? What are they doing?
In 2003,
it asks a lot of questions. I want answers now.
Making a lot of money. That's what they're doing.
A lot of poor decisions. Tony, what did you score this one?
Definitely a solid 2.
A solid 2.
Solid 2. I've heard worse, which is why it doesn't drop all the way to the 1 territory. But I'm not even 50% on board with this one. So yeah, 2.
Right. Dude, mine came up to a 1 because originally it was a 0, and I have not done that yet for this show. No one's done a 0 for this show because
have we been able to score as a 0?
No, because in the beginning, I think it might have actually been the first episode where I was like, "Look, I want to give this thing a 0." It might have been for like Bakugan or something.
Right.
And I think this is where Mel had her first infamous spite point because I said, "Look, I'll give this thing a 1 because it is technically a theme song for a show." But this first thing that I watched wasn't even a theme song for a show. It was a collection of weird noises. So it was a 0 for me. But then you sent me the one that actually had lyrics to it. And I'm like, all right, fine. You meet the definition of being a theme song. So it's a 1 for me. It's a 1 for me.
All right.
This is how Zatch Bell's going to roll tonight, unfortunately. So.
Oh, boy.
Let's
a lot of heartache. A lot of heartache in the next couple.
It's going to be a little rough.
Couple minutes.
No, we're going to get back into some more fun stuff, though. So now we're going to jump back over to Digimon. We're going to talk character design. So just remember to keep in mind, this is for both the human characters and the creatures. So, Sean, how did this one strike you?
Oh boy. We went from fingerless gloves to no gloves to now full-on gloves over everybody's hands like they're a Mickey Mouse Disney character. So we have just gloves galore on everybody. I was okay with the character design, but it was a little bit much for me because we had such a large number of characters that we were being introduced to within this first episode. It's just a laundry list, and we get all of their names, and they get a nice roll call. But honestly, I'm not going to call them by whatever their name is. I'm not going to remember what their name is. I'm going to remember them by their terrible 90s fashion choices that they decided to make. I'm going to call it Kid with Goggles who doesn't need goggles, Girl from Texas, Kid Help Desk, and Glasses. Yeah. So...
I think that's fair.
And that's not even the beginning for me, because then we have these jelly bean shaped head creatures that come out like little throw pillows on a children's bed, and it's a little bit off putting because all they do is just bounce around, and so you think, are all of these things disembodied? And why does everything have to have a mon at the end of it? I know it's Digimon, but we couldn't stray from that naming convention at all ever. I will say this as a final point. If you would have named somebody Listiclemon, I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense to me.
You
Listiclemon.
BuzzFeed Mon.
Yeah. BuzzFeed. Jesus. Yeah. Clickbait Mon. Fair enough.
All right, Tony, how about you?
I was a fan of the character design on this one. There's some vaguely reminiscent kind of following the trope of like Power Rangers where each one gets their own specific color coordination thing going on. Although there are the two guys in green because it's the big brother and little brother, right. I think. Yeah. But I mean, generally there's enough delineation and there's enough implied by the character design that you can jump into it and pretty much figure out who the cool kid is, who the nerd is, who the the girly girl is, and that's it. It makes it easy to jump into, and you're introducing 7 characters,
right,
for people, then 7 characters for these little creatures, then all those creatures have an alternate character. They all change their names when they go up to the next level. Like, I mean, it's a lot of complexity, and yet it's still relatively easy to follow. So I was a fan. I like the character design on this.
Yeah, I'm siding with Tony on this one. Sean, I think to your point, the fact that you maybe didn't remember their names, but remembered like Goggles for no reason, Girl from Texas, Glasses. Those are all, I think, a testament to the character design, because each of these kids stands out enough that, yeah, you may not remember their name even after they introduce themselves 3 times in the first episode, but you're going to know who's who just based on their attire. So for me, that makes them stand out more than, kids like even the Bakugan kids, where they're all like this weird street punk kind of like gang attire, but they all kind of look the same, or kids that are always in school uniforms, which it's sometimes difficult to like distinguish, except from the protagonist character who may or may not have his shirt open and have like a weird talisman hanging around his neck. So for the kids, I thought they were fine that they actually distinguished among them. The little balls of dough were kind of more difficult to tell apart, but like Tony said, once they evolved to that next level, it was a little easier. And I like that we actually got, again, like more than 20 different versions on screen. And I thought that they did well. So I was pretty pleased with this. So how did you rank this one, Sean?
I enjoyed the fact that we had they opened the floodgates and gave you this deluge of characters and information. I will say, though, to kind of counter your point, Dave, as you mentioned about, really enjoying all these evolutions, the only real evolution that I ever note or take, note of when I see it are the ultimates and maybe slightly the champion versions of these guys. The little pillow beanbag jelly bean heads, like I couldn't tell them apart at all.
They look like mad balls. You guys remember those?
Oh God, like the eyeball?
Yeah, no, well, like the eyeball, but yeah, like the little mad balls, the little squishy toys that were just.
I thought they all looked like Kirby's cousins.
Yeah,
like
Kirby's mutated cousins. Yeah,
Kirby's Dreamland,
and including down to their little bubble shoot weapon to start the thing. Like it's very Kirby.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point.
So ultimately, I gave it a 3.
A 3? Okay, I think that's fine. It sounded like you were way more on the downside than a 3.
No, it was average. I liked it.
Okay, Tony, yourself?
So I'm gonna go with a 4 for this one. I think I would potentially even put it as high as a 5, if not for the fact that they were the little jelly bean characters, and that that was a little confusing, and I think some of the evolution from those characters to their next step up form was kind of just arbitrary. They don't necessarily make sense that that's a cat type creature, and you know what I mean? Because I knew that they were going to transition to that at some point before the episode was out, having watched it in the past, and I was trying to remember who's going to end up in what form, and there were only like 2 or 3 that I was solidly certain were going to end up, in the ones that I wound up getting right. So for that, yeah, I'm going to go with a 4.
Yeah, I gave it a 4 as well, and like you said, the only reason it wasn't a 5 for me was they weren't quite as iconic as like a Pokemon, and they weren't quite as detailed as something like from Yu-Gi-Oh, let's say. But I really like that they had the variety. So variety for me got a big bonus for this ranking, both the human characters and the monster designs as well. So yeah, I give it a 4. I really enjoyed it. I like seeing the transitions. We only saw one evolutionary step, and like Sean said, there's a lot more, and they're better. But it was kind of cool to see that. So yeah, 4 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, when Jellybean head to T-Rex.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what made zero sense. It was like, I'm a jellyfish and I'm going to turn into a ladybug. I'm also a jellyfish. I'm going to turn into a dinosaur.
Those were the ones that, the ladybug one, that one threw me off.
No, once they go from that level to the next one up, it makes more sense. But getting from jellyfish to whatever the hell you are, it's like a weird fetus thing growing into whatever.
Once you can at least follow the color trend,
exactly,
that starts to make more sense.
Yeah.
Although the one that turns into like the angel is a little.
There's 2.
Is there 2?
There's Angemon and Angewoman.
Yeah.
And that's when I stopped watching the show. It made zero sense. It turns from like this little like pillow with legs and bat ears into like this angel woman thing with like a weird pot over her head. I don't know. The whole thing's strange. We didn't get to see that.
Very Thor-esque.
The little pot-bellied pig with wings. I think it's called Patamon.
Patamon. Yep.
Patamon turns into
Angewoman.
The angel woman.
That's so strange. Everything is so strange. All right, let's jump over to Zatch Bell here. Let's talk character design. Zatch Bell. So we didn't quite have quite the variety, but Sean, what was your reaction to these guys?
Despite not having the variety, I felt that this was really unique. We had a traditional anime style that was with this, where we have weird dolls, and I felt like this was something that I have not seen in a lot of the Pocket Monster things that we've watched this month. So these dolls, despite having sort of the Punch and Judy marionette lines over their mouth, it doesn't really seem to impact them in any way or their character design. The big thing that I really enjoyed is I thought that, despite the fact that these dolls were very cute and that they were kind of off-putting at first, they are really fucking powerful. And they are super destructive, and yet you learn with Zatch, he doesn't really understand how powerful he truly is. Then we also have these moments where our main male character, Kyo, he has these strangely intense moments where he flips out and he sort of gets like a very pointed chin. He gets kind of like devil teeth, and there's like weird shading on top of his head to show how upset he is. And I really liked that transition to show how stressed he was becoming.
All right. Tony, what was your take on these guys?
So I don't know who went to grade school or high school with a bully that looked like Fabio, but that was a little off-putting. I mean, I get that you got to make him big, but normally they make him like a big lug, and he's balding already, and something. But they give this guy like the Adonis version of the high school bully.
He was a good-looking bully.
He was a good-looking bully. Like dude looks like he didn't need to bully anybody. There was nothing going on wrong in his life. Like, talking about the lines from it was actually coming down from the eyes for him, and then the big kind of circular eye shape that was a little bit different, bright colors for that. And then they also had breaks at the limbs. So I don't know if you noticed, like the wrist and the ankle, they had little lines across there as if they were kind of connected pieces of wood or something like that. It was interesting. I would say that's probably of the things in this show that I was on board with. The character design was the closest. So yeah, I could live with it.
Yeah, for me, I like the humans were more realistic than we've kind of seen before, but it also fell back into the trope like everybody was wearing the school uniform thing. That was a little tired. We'd seen that. The Mamodos or puppets or whatever you want to call them, they just kind of look like creepy kids, and we saw 3 of them. So we had a number of human characters We had Kyo, who's like kind of the junior high brat. There's a girl named Susie that's kind of like, she's not over exaggerated anime girl, so I will give them a point for that because they didn't make her like crazy kawaii cute thing. But then we see some other trainers and some other Mamodos, and they were interesting. It just, I don't know, it didn't really do it for me. It felt like they were scraping the bottom of a barrel, like because they had come after Pokemon and Digimon and all these other things, and just the creatures, the Mamodos in this case, they were just like weird little kids running around, and it was a little unsettling for me and not very enjoyable. So
they look like
ventriloquist
dummies.
The
little dress that the boy's wearing with the giant bow on the front.
Right.
I don't know what is his outfit supposed to be.
Yeah.
What is that?
I really don't. He has
it's
shorts
like
underneath it, but it's this like cloak dress thing. It's weird.
It's really odd. And I'm sure maybe it's explained at some point, but I don't know. A lot of weird choices for me that did not work. Sean, how'd you score this one?
You know, for all the points that you brought up, Dave, I'm going to politely and respectfully disagree with them. I found this to be really fun, and you know, I thought that this was something unique and very different. I gave it a 4.
Okay, 4 for Sean. Tony, what about you?
For the bully Adonis and and the interesting characters of the kids, I think the some of the stuff that you said about Kyo and his facial expressions, that's kind of tropey for anime in general, that almost every character has like a normal form and then this like really upset, angry, exacerbated form. I'm going with a 3 on this one.
Yeah, I was probably a little harsher than I should have been for this one, but that kind of stuff just kind of aggravated me by this point. The tone of this whole show really did come into play, not just in the plot, but in the character design as well. So the tone of it was just really off for me, and I think that kind of affected it. So I only gave it a 2. I wasn't super impressed. There wasn't anything I really hadn't seen before, and the stuff that was unique was just weird, and I didn't really like it. So that's a 2 for me. So we kind of ran the spectrum on that one, but again, we averaged out, so it's all fine. It's all fine. And now we get into the battle mechanics. So again, this is sort of how the battles take place, how the monsters are kind of brought into the field of battle, if there's any rules, things like that. So unlike some of previous shows, we actually do get to see some battles in both of these, which is a nice change from some shows where they don't do any battling at all.
God.
So Sean, what do you think about the battle mechanics from Digimon?
You know, we got to see more monster transitions during the theme song than we did in the actual show.
True.
Again, a majority of this episode just felt like it was sort of just listing off all the new things and places that they suddenly are transported to. You know, I don't feel like we really got a chance to see much of these battle mechanics, because really the only small portion of the battle that we really get a chance to see a lot of are where we have these little jelly bean heads spit stuff at Kuwagamon, and then we have one transition of a monster into something else, into the T-Rex form that he had. You know, I thought some of them were fun and they were enjoyable, but it just, I don't know, it just kind of also, I didn't understand like what the rules of the game were. Obviously just to stay alive, in this sense, but it didn't seem very fun. It kind of seemed more like a chore to me.
Okay, Tony, how about you?
I like the battle sequences on this one. I think at least it didn't have the, one of the things I honestly always hated about like Dragon Ball Z was just the there's always the ultimate thing that always knocks out the other power. Right, and at least in this one, like it took all 7 of them fighting in order to
spitting.
Yeah, spitting. But even so, it took all 7 of them to actually make an impact. Like the first one just kind of annoyed the creature, and then the latter ones actually made an impact enough
just had to spit more.
Yeah. You don't know, that could have been acid. That could have been very painful spit. But no, I will admit the battle mechanics on this one weren't necessarily fully outlined. There's not rules to it. There's no solid way to say like it's 1-on-1 like there is with like a Pokemon type scenario or something like that. So on that route, I think it's a little bit middling.
Yeah, fair. I think I'm kind of with both of you guys on this one. We'll see what our scores are in a second, but we did get to see a battle. It was between all of the jelly bean headed Digimon, and then eventually they do Digivolve at some point, which we'll talk about in the plot here in a second. I do like that they all kind of teamed up together, and not only among themselves as the digital monsters, but with the support of their trainers, which I think allowed them to help evolve to that next step. So that's something that wasn't really laid out like here's how you evolve your monster with your digi device. It was just kind of something that it wasn't completely stated. It was basically like all the trainers were lending the support to the monsters because the monsters were rushing back into battle against a foe that they probably couldn't beat, and they were going to get their asses handed to them again. So they all worked together, but then with the support of their trainers, they were able to digivolve. So to me, that was sort of like, okay, that's an aspect of how these battle mechanics work. They have to kind of work together with their trainer to be able to evolve to that next level, and we get to see at least the transformation to that. So it wasn't like exposition filled like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff like that, where it's just like, it's going to be 3 rounds, you're going to battle on this virtual realm or whatever. It was a little more organic, and I appreciated that, but it also didn't really give us the full picture. So for me, it was kind of a middle of the road thing. There was some good points that offset some of the bad. So Sean, how did you rank this one?
I'm really not sure what they're doing in this show other than taking care of these jelly bean Tamagotchi heads.
Yeah.
So I gave it a 2.
A 2? Okay. And Tony?
I'm going to go, as I said, middling. So I think I'm going to put this one as a solid 3. It's drifting towards a 4 for me, but yeah, I'll go with a 3.
Yeah, it was a 3 for me because there wasn't anything super new or unique for this one, but I thought they did an okay job at introducing the characters, having them spit their way through the first battle, and then only be able to temporarily at least win the next battle by evolving. And I thought that was a cool aspect to it. And like I said earlier with the character design, that was one of my favorite parts of the show, is getting to see these things evolve to their next levels. So the fact that we actually get to see that once in the midst of battle, and then it revealed how that kind of came to be with that bond with their trainer, I thought that was okay. But yeah, it's still a 3 because it wasn't anything above and beyond. So
you just love Agumon. I knew it.
I do love Agumon, but not as much as Kabuterimon, who doesn't go up for another couple of episodes.
For like 2 more seasons.
He's the best. Probably like 2, 3 more episodes. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. They
the one
escalated this quickly.
He's like the ladybug that turns into Kabuterimon, which is weird because Kabuterimon actually looks like Kawagamon.
Yeah.
Very, very similar. So at first when he showed up, I was like, wait a minute, am I remembering everything wrong about this show? So no, it's all good. But now let's
not gonna lie, I'm having that moment right now because you're listing off all the names and I'm like,
no, I don't remember all the names. Just
I can't tie them all together.
We have been talking about this show for a while now.
Really,
so.
okay. We've been building up to Digimon for a very long time, which is so sad. I didn't remember all the little jelly bean headed names though, to be honest. So I'm glad the weird
they don't
thing
last long.
No, they don't last long at all. And I think in the future episodes, their default is like the what's the level? What level did you say they were?
Like the
when
champion?
It's like Agumon and
the champion level.
That's champion level?
I believe so, yes.
Like their base level. Okay. And then they like regress if they're like really damaged.
Injured,
so that's like a way to assess their battle damage if they've like really devolved. Yeah. But that's for another Digimon episode. Let's head over to battle mechanics for Zatch Bell. We did see some battles in this one.
Yeah, we
did. That were
did.
very different. So Sean, what do you think about these?
I thought these were pretty fun.
Okay.
We have these moments where we see Zatch Bell completely flip the fuck out and just shoot lightning out of his face hole, eyes. I don't know what it was. He just erupts lightning against Kyo pretty early on, and then we get another lightning strike that happens later. The fun or interesting thing about these battle mechanics is that Zatch doesn't really seem to understand that he took place in a battle. He almost has no recollection or no memory of what had happened again. I don't know. You know, we got a chance to see 3 dolls in this 4th episode,
Right.
And then they hinted at a 4th doll that's coming up in the next episode at the very end. And so, I don't know. I thought the battles that we had that were in this were kind of fun. Again, it doesn't seem like there's any real rules to what this battle is. It doesn't seem like there's any rhyme or reason. It's just survive. But the nice thing is that there is this book of spells, and I'm very curious to see what else is in that book.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Tony?
I thought this one was really arbitrary. I mean, especially the fact that you start with one battle that's going on between the kid, Zatch and this bully, and then just have another guy kind of butt in because he's like, oh, that girl's cute, I want to make her my girlfriend, and then he goes and very rapey, goes and like grabs her by the wrist and like, you understand who I am, right? And
I've got that line written down too.
Yeah.
It freaked me out.
It was creepy.
No, I thought the mechanics on this one, there's no rhyme or reason. It's, there's no at least from this episode. Granted, I don't know the series, so I don't know what that book of spells actually holds in it, if there's really something to grow from, but it really seemed like they kind of, went off with their most powerful attacks right off the bat, and that was all that you needed. And so from that respect, kind of as I mentioned before, I wasn't a big fan of Dragon Ball Z. It felt very Dragon Ball Z-ish. So yeah, I was not a fan.
Yeah, I think for me on this one, Sean's enthusiasm might have actually earned me an extra point because the battles are super basic. It basically starts out, we'll talk about it in the plot, with the Zatch Bell, the title character, the puppet, kind of going into battle on his own and trying to bring his new best friend, his number one friend, into the battle. And he needs him because these two guys need to work together much like the Digimon do. And it's not explicitly laid out, but when Zatch is kind of like the powered creature, so all these Mamodo are the ones that actually have the magic and can work these spells, but they need their partner to have the spell book to call out the spells so that they can actually like use them. So that was kind of a cool mechanic that wasn't explicitly stated, but you could tell from just how they progressed through the battle that was how that worked. So I really like the organic presentation of just like, oh, I've never met you before, but we're fighting together, so let me figure out how the fuck this book works and how your powers come to be. And then to Sean's point, I like that he was like this little lightning kid. The title is actually like the lightning boy from another world or something like that.
Right, yes.
So that was kind of cool that he was just like, he had these lightning powers, but he didn't really know how to use them or that he was even using them himself. So there's enough cool stuff here to keep you interested for another round. It's just Tony's point, the battle itself was a little dry and a little unfulfilling. So I'm actually going to bump it up a point, but as I do that...
Oh, really?
As I do that, and I think it's the first time I've done that.
This is interesting because as I was explaining mine, I changed my score as well.
Up or down?
I went down one.
Damn it! So you offset my.
I talked myself out of a
nice
point
for you.
I'm sorry.
You talked yourself down one. You spited yourself.
I talked myself down one.
Okay,
yeah.
what'd you go to?
I went to a 3.
Okay, I think that's fine. Tony, how about you?
I'm at a 2.
You're at a 2. I think that's fair. That's where I was. Sean's enthusiasm before he demoted himself talked me up to a 3. There's enough interesting stuff here, I think, that it doesn't have to all be laid out for me. It doesn't have to all be spelled out. There's enough seeds that are like, we got a spell book, he's got powers he doesn't understand, there's a partnership that they don't quite understand. I think those 3 things are enough for a 3 for me. So I think
and Kyo's a genius, and so I think you hit a perfect
worst.
I think you hit a perfect chord with saying the organic nature of the storytelling. This really kind of presents itself in a way that's fun and that we haven't seen in some of these other Pocket Monster shows.
Yeah, it's definitely different from the other 9 episodes or 9 series that we've watched, because it's not just like you and me, Pikachu forever. It's just kind of like, what the fuck? You're a weird puppet kid, and you're pissing me off, but you're getting the shit beat out of you. So I guess I should step in and do something.
Yeah,
it was different. It was different and unique enough that it got that extra point. So we've been talking plot kind of around the edges now. So let's get into it a little bit more. We'll have a little bit more time per person to go over this one. So let's jump into the plot of this first episode of Digimon. And Sean, how did it strike you? How did it leave you at the end of it?
Oh no! Here we go, climate change skeptics.
Yeah, what is going on in this episode?
Let's get the fuck on board, truthers. All right, this climate change is a real thing because we are introduced very quickly that there has been massive climate change on Earth, which has caused it to snow during the summer when these kids are at camp. And then suddenly a digital void opens at their summer camp and sucks them in and gives them vertigo as they are sucked into this digital world. There are a lot of really interesting glimmers, little nuggets, little morsels, but you don't really have any idea how they're connected, or at least I wasn't immediately aware of how all of these things were connected. There's a weird storm, it begins to snow, they get randomly, seemingly, without any rhyme or reason, sucked into this digital void, and they now have to form this bond and friendship with these jelly beans. And so the show seems more concerned at points with you understanding their unique personalities and the names and utility of these little Tamagotchis. It seemed like this story so far, just within the first episode, was more concerned about the why than the what.
That's a good way to sum it up. Tony, how about you?
Thank you.
I mean, I enjoyed the plot on this one. I thought there was yeah, it is a little preachy with the
little preachy.
It's
like Captain Planet style preachy. Like I was surprised Gaia didn't come out and be like, "You fucked up."
They had the whole Aurora Borealis, which scientifically is just that's a big old middle finger to actual science to say there's an Aurora Borealis over Japan. I think they what they did well with it though is the fact that, as I mentioned before, they introduced all these characters. They delineate from them strongly enough that I think it sets up for a much better series in the long run. I mean, I think when we started this episode, we all admitted that this is something that we watched in the past and enjoyed. I think you're set up for a much more interesting long run. So overall, I thought it was a solid plot.
Yeah, for me in this one, it feels like something lost in translation. Like I'd like to go back and watch the actual Japanese audio and see if they are as preachy about climate change. Because it was 1997. It was one thing to be like environmental. It was a very different thing to be like climate change, if I remember correctly. So like Captain Planet was all about like protect the environment, clean it up, don't be a douche. This is like climate change has already happened, and we are now like reaping the terrible things that happened, like this weird chocolate sauce tsunami that covers like all of Tokyo or whatever the hell that was. I think there's a lot of stuff that's lost in translation. So that being said, I kind of threw that out the window with this plot, and I just kind of focused on these kids who are thrown into another world, which is something we've seen time and time again in these series. And they're given these devices, and they are given kind of leadership, or not leadership. They're basically given kind of ownership of these creatures, right? So now they're like forced into a weird partnership, which again has happened many, many times in this series. So as far as the actual plot itself, we'd seen it. It wasn't super compelling because there weren't really any stakes. They were in a weird world. They were trying to figure some stuff out. They had to meet these creatures, but everybody seemed to get along okay, except for this one giant like beetle thing flying around. So I don't know. For this one, it was good introductory episode. Like Tony mentioned, they did a fantastic job of introducing everybody, making them stand out, introducing all the different Digimon, and not really their powers yet, because you only got to see like one little montage, one little segment of each of them and their champion level having a different power. That was cool.
They can all spit extremely well.
They can all spit pink bubbles, but only some of them have like pepper breath or blue blast.
Go Kirby, go!
Yeah, go Kirby, go! But yeah. So that being said, like I thought it was okay for the first episode. They handled a lot of things well. They didn't screw everything up fantastically. So it was an okay episode. Sean, how did you score the plot this first time around? I might have just talked myself down a point, by the way.
I know. It sounds like you did. It really seems like the stakes, as you mentioned, are non-existent on the micro level for these kids. But on a macro level, it seems like there are actual stakes for the environment, for this preachy climate change portion of it. But they never really kind of connect the dots between the two.
And I don't know if they ever do in the full series. I can't remember them.
I believe they do later on. And so for that alone, kind of like for that little bit of a disconnect, I felt that it was very average. I didn't get a true understanding of what the gravity of the situation was, so I gave it a 3.
Okay. And Tony, how about you?
As I said before, I enjoyed this one. I thought it set up for a much better long run. This is out of the first episode. I would still say the more likely series that I'm going to continue watching.
Sure.
And so I'm bought in by that. So I'm going to give it a 4.
Yeah, I had it as a 4 for that reason, but I think the nostalgia factor kind of hit me when I listened to Sean kind of talk about it and you talk about it. As a first episode, it's solid. It does a good job setting everything up. It doesn't give me quite enough. It gives me enough to keep watching. It doesn't give me quite enough to like automatically hit that next episode thing. Like I'd come back to this eventually or something. So it was a 3 for me. It was a 4, but I don't think it was quite unique or exceptional enough, especially given the other 9 episodes of this similar series that we've watched. We've kind of seen this thing kind of play out over and over again. So yeah, I'll give it a 3.
We are getting tough, and I feel, Dave, do we need to take a knee? Because you are getting tough on yourself,
well,
buddy.
just wait.
I know how much you love Digimon.
Just wait for
I feel
Zatch
like
Bell.
I'm talking you out of something that you're passionate about.
No, dude. For the plot, I love the idea of the thing overall, where they have these digital creatures that are teamed up with these kids that are meant to like repair the fabric between their two worlds. I think that's fantastic. I think that's something that a lot of the other series don't quite get, because these kids aren't out to like win a tournament. They're not out to win a badge or to be the best ever. They're out to like repair the fabric of these two worlds. I think that's cool. It just doesn't come across in this first episode. So
right.
Just specifically looking at this first episode, not the series overall, it was just kind of an average plot. So they They handled it. They did well with it, but they didn't exceed and go above and beyond. So I think a 3 is fair. Just wait till we get to the next one for Zatch Bell.
Oh boy!
All right, Sean, just back to you, bud.
All right, we have a magic book, which seems to almost be a reoccurring theme between last week and this week.
Right.
We have battling dolls that use elemental magic. Now, we've had sort of elemental components that have come in, in different things like Pokemon, some of the other shows that we've watched, especially in Magi Nation.
Right.
It's not a unique concept.
Sorry, I don't think Tony was aware that was the name of an actual show.
Right. Magi Nation.
Magi Nation. Oh, listen to last week's episode, Tony.
It's not a unique concept, but I felt that this show had a intriguing execution.
Okay.
The main plot that Kyo's dad wants him to have more friends because he's too smart, and so he sends him this doll. It seems super, super far-fetched. But I'm so glad that they mention it within about a sentence and then they drop it and don't really seem to give a fuck about it. It's almost dismissed as, we needed this MacGuffin to get this, creepy Pinocchio here so that we could have him start spitting lightning all over the place. And I was interested in that. So, it is a little far-fetched, but they leave you with enough intrigue with Zatch having horns at the very end of the first episode. What? That I thought to myself, like what you were saying previously, Dave, with this episode of Digimon might not have been enough for you to watch and hit the next episode right away.
Right.
For me, seeing those horns on the back of Zatch, I was like, yeah, all right, let's queue up episode 2. I'm kind of curious to see how this works out.
Okay, cool.
He has the ability to shoot lightning out of his mouth, and you think
that's
horns is the hook. Like,
it's got to be.
I think all of them together. That's what I was saying. Is that I think the elemental magic part is not unique, but I think it was an intriguing execution. And then with the cliffhanger of the Mamodo and the horns and this thing's a demon, I would not have seen that coming. This thing's a creepy wooden whittled doll.
Yeah, you got that right.
That shoots lightning. Where the fuck did that come from?
Tony, what's your take?
Yeah, no, this one, it had a Teletubby level of repetitiveness to start out the episode.
That's a quote. It's a quote of the night.
Because it was so we're told all the characters' names, and then we're told all the characters' names again, and then we're told all the characters' names again. Like, it's just, whereas. And I actually watched this one first between the two because I knew I had kind of an affinity for Digimon going, well, not even, a little bit get it out of the way, but also to try and come at it completely like non-comparison based and just try and come at it very objectively.
Yeah.
This thing was a steaming pile. I was not a fan of the plot, so I think you can infer where my scoring is going to be going.
I think I can tell ahead of time.
I'm gonna guess low.
Dave, how you feeling?
I can't believe that neither of you mentioned Zatch Bell's introduction to this entire thing, because that was just like one of the craziest.
That was the
fucking
craziest thing.
You're introduced to this character, right? The show opens with this weird dress-wearing Mamodo puppet creature hanging from the feet of an eagle, flying over a city in the moonlight over open water. And he's narrating the entire thing
majestically.
If I'm that eagle, I've dropped that kid at least 5 miles back.
I don't know
won't shut the fuck up.
What's going on with this eagle?
What's going on?
Where he got this damn kid? The kid, as he's narrating, then sees a giant fish like jump up out of the ocean. So it cuts away and it cuts over to our protagonist Kyo, and then you see Kyo in bed. And at this point, Zatch and the eagle just like smash through the window. Zatch is now naked, but he has the fish tied to his back. And he just, with the eagle, smashes through the wall and is just like, I'm a doll and you're Kyo and I'm here to help you make friends because your dad sent me here. And I'm just like, what the actual fuck is happening in this show right now? That has pretty much zero to do with the plot, like Sean mentioned. It was just one of the craziest intros for a character ever. And it actually set the tone in a way that really upset me for the rest of the episode. It was just like, it was just this, they're trying to be super funny and they're trying to be like super exaggerated emotions, whether they're uber depressed or really hurt or really just self-obsessed or just something. It was just like everything was just so saturated in this like exaggerated emotion that it was irritating for me.
This one I thought suffered a lot from the whole whenever you redub something from the Japanese version, you have to try and match up the lines to the mouths. It suffered a lot. There's a lot of really awkward, stupid pauses. There's lines where they're throwing in extra words in a line just to make it fit. It's just
it's bad.
It's arbitrary. It's not yeah.
And to that point, to compare it back to Digimon real quick. So Digimon, it suffers from the Americanization of the plot with like the weird climate stuff. This one I think suffers from what Tony just mentioned, like just awkward dubbing and trying to like jam in jokes that make zero sense or like explain the awkward situations that's happening on screen. Now, granted, when you have a naked child with a fish strapped to his back flying through a window on the, hanging from the talons of an eagle, that's going to be hard to explain no matter what language you're talking about. But once it settles down a little bit and they kind of get into the battle mode, then it kind of evens out for me a little bit. And I'm like, okay, this is where I live now. I understand this anime. I understand. They're just fighting. And that was okay for me. But for the first episode, it was mostly just like, what the fuck? I don't understand half of what's going on. So, Sean, what'd you end up scoring this one?
You know what? I will say, for the reasons that you just mentioned about just sort of this batshit insane intro.
Yeah.
And how Zatch Bell is actually introduced to Kyo.
Yeah.
I thought that, unlike you, I thought it set the tone very, very well for just how insane this show and how, like, what level of either some religious aspect or mysticism is going to be brought into the show.
Okay.
I thought that it did a really good job of kind of showing, like, this is not your average thing. This is a crazy, crazy world that these people live in. And so I was intrigued by it. I gave it a 4.
4. Okay.
Yeah.
Tony, how
I'm
about
going to stand by this 4.
Tony,
let's just tank that average immediately. I'm going with a solid 1 on this guy.
How do you bring that down, Tony?
Son of a bitch.
Lowest score of the day, and I think that's going to end up being my lowest score overall. But yeah, no thank you.
I wasn't quite that harsh, but I wasn't much better. This, like I said, it wasn't really compelling. There was enough kind of intrigue and mystery that I'm like, okay, it's interesting. But it was really overshadowed by just like the exaggerated emotion and just like the craziness for craziness sake. And as a first episode, it didn't really compel me to want to watch more of this kind of dysfunctional duo. So I gave it a 2. I gave the plot a 2 for this one.
All right.
So it was acceptable, but not great.
Ooh.
Sean's getting upset.
Getting heated, guys.
I had a feeling he was just going to elevate his to a 5 just to try
spike.
and counter.
No, I don't need to spite. It was obviously not perfect.
Right.
So
No. I think that it's fair. It's not, it's not what I would go with. Clearly not what Tony would go with either. But all right, now we come to my favorite of the criteria.
4-1.
So now we come to the boss. The best part of this one isn't really the discussion. It's just figuring out who the actual fucking boss is in any of these shows. Because sometimes you have like 4 in an episode and you have to pick one. Sometimes, like I'm assuming in Digimon, you only have 1. Unless Sean flips it on me and says like carbon emissions. That's the only thing.
No.
All right, buddy, what do you have?
I think you're gonna ask me to go with Kuwagamon, this
you
giant
go with
beetle, this giant beetle that we have. But I don't think that that's the boss of this.
Oh, what's the boss?
I think the boss of this episode was really the non-existent summer camp counselors, because they really do not seem to give a single fuck what these kids are doing.
So it's a Friday the 13th scenario?
Yeah,
Okay.
where they get sucked into this dizzy digital void and they're never seen from again. But in all seriousness though, Kuwagamon, is he's a pretty scary and pretty threatening digital monster that creates some stakes for them. But I'll be honest with you, if I can slow you down by spitting in your face, if I can deter your evil trajectory by spitting in your eye, you're really not that much of a threat to me.
I think that's fair. Tony,
if I can execute bad manners and halt you in your tracks, you're not fucking threatening, idiot.
I think you're yelling at a fictional digital bug.
You dumb fucking bug.
Chopped a couple of trees in half. It
really did. Actually, more than a couple, like half the damn forest, because they kept using that animation over and over again of him like
deforestation, guys.
They kept on going for it was the A10 Warthog style, like just zooming down and just taking the low approach. It's Kuwagamon.
Okay, cool. Good answer,
is the actual I'm definitely the on board that's the boss. What is this bullshit about the counselors? So they defeat the boss in the first 30 seconds of the show is what you're saying, and so the rest of it's just no wonder the plot didn't stick with you.
Yeah, it didn't.
But no, I think the Kuwagamon it's fine. I kind of wish that there had been maybe a longer established character put in there, somebody that's going to recur more regularly and not just be, going back to the little Power Rangers thing. It felt like the putties, like they're just kind of always there, but they're always the shittiest thing that everybody has no problem beating,
or like whatever the monster of the week was for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
So I'm kind of somewhat middling on this, but it was effective. I at least know who the boss was.
Yeah, unlike previous series where we've had like multiple levels of different kinds of bosses that were sort of like either teased or did show up and actually had a battle or interrupted another battle, or just like a bunch of weird things where you're like, I don't know, was it a flock of Spearows that were the boss, or was it like the schoolyard bully who was actually his friend? Like, what's happening? This is pretty straightforward.
Looking at you, Pokemon.
Yeah, Pokemon, get your shit together. His Ash's, go back and listen to that episode, but Ash's biggest obstacle in that episode was the landscape, because he kept tripping over shit and falling off cliffs, and it's whatever. But for Digimon, it's straight up Kuwagamon. It's this just kind of like rogue prehistoric beetle character who actually isn't even defeated at the end of the episode. So I think he's a decent boss for a first episode because he's a threat. He is something that requires all the Digimon to have to fight not only together, but fight together in their evolved forms to take on. And at the end of the episode, they still haven't even defeated him. There's a nice little cliffhanger ending where he comes back. Yeah, a literal cliffhanger, because he knocks them off a fucking cliff. So I think he's better than some of the villains that we've seen. Definitely not the best, but somewhere in the middle. So Sean, how did you score this one? How did you score Camp Counselors, first of all, and then how did you score Kuwagamon?
I scored Camp Counselors and Kuwagamon as the same, and mainly because of what you just said, is that it, at least there was something that was present. At least there was something that was threatening, but it didn't feel like it was something that was so threatening. Right. So I gave it an average 3.
Okay, an average 3. Tony, how'd you feel about Kuwagamon?
Same boat. I'm putting this one at a 3. It's it's at least effective enough, but I do wish it was something with a little more staying power. I wish we had kind of been introduced to the big bad of sorts in this one, at least somehow, that there was some ultimate goal, but. He suffices. He gets the job done.
Yeah, no, I'm with you guys. I gave it a 3 as well because it was a worthwhile opponent, but nothing that's going to be, like you said, sticking around forever. They're probably just going to kick his ass in the very next episode. So
yeah, right.
But yeah, it was good. It was 3. It was it's exactly what you want from like a first episode villain. But it did not go above and beyond like a Kaiba, or something like that did. So yeah.
Or a Mr. Pegasus.
Yeah, Mr. Pegasus.
Now
we're gonna. That's
my eyeball.
That's a good segue, because I feel like Zatch Bell has a bit of a villain problem. But let's get into it. So Sean, what do you think about Zatch Bell's boss?
I did a Dave Trumbore for this.
I don't know what that means.
I began by writing down whatever the first threat was,
right,
and then I crossed it out, and I wrote down the second threat, and then I crossed that out, and I wrote down a new threat. And so by the end of it, I was like, wait, is Zatch Bell the threat? Is he like the problem for this? And then I was like, oh no, it's clearly his overprotective dad who's a pain in the ass. And then I was like, oh, maybe it's I was like, I crossed that out, and I was like, oh, maybe it's the parenting duo of his mom and his dad, because they're just like, you need to go to school, otherwise you have to take care of this wooden puppet. And he's just like, going to school.
Yeah.
Like, way to threaten me, Mom.
It worked.
So then we have Fabio Bully, that's up on the rooftop, and I'm like, okay, and then suddenly we have who I don't even really know who their name is on this, so I just call them Air Doll and Rape Whistle.
Okay, that's fair. It's Ido and Hyde, but Air Doll and Rape Whistle is also acceptable.
Yeah. So Air Doll and Rape Whistle, and I think I ultimately sided with Rape Whistle because I know Tony hinted at some of the creepy dialogue in this, but it was so unnerving. I felt so uncomfortable whenever he put his hand on the girlfriend and just says, "You're my girl now, and I'm pretty strong." And I was like, oh no, Zatch Bell.
Okay, so you're going with Air Doll and Rape Whistle for your bosses.
Yeah, I'm going with Air Doll, Rape Whistle.
Tony, how about you?
I was thinking after the Digimon approach that somehow you were going to pin this on absentee father.
That's a good argument, honestly.
That's a great argument.
Great argument.
I mean, initially I did, and then I crossed it out.
Fucking doll I found in the forest and quote brought back to life. Like, what the hell? All right, Dad, you weirdo.
No, No, I think in this one it was definitely Rape Whistle. I appreciate that we've given him that name at least.
It's a good name.
Yeah, he's really. I mean, although I feel like this one did a possibly better job of kind of introducing the big bad, because it's really interesting that it seems to be the little bad guy. What was his what'd you call him? Not Rape Whistle, but the other one.
Airdoll.
Airdoll.
Yeah.
I think because he really seems to be the one kind of calling the shots, and he's kind of just got his dipshit
human
henchman,
spellcaster.
That's kind of along for the ride. I don't know the rest of the series, so I don't know how long they last. They could get offed in the next episode for all I know, but fingers crossed. But I mean, like, I that's the one thing that moves the needle a little bit that way, is I feel like he's the big boss, in which case you really don't see him get defeated because they run away. So fine. It was fine.
Okay.
A ringing endorsement.
Yeah, I like how you have the deep sigh before you. It was fine.
It's fine. No, it's just because we're almost done, Tony. Hang in there. No, for me, it, like you said, Sean, it started with this Kane bully. He's just this monstrous guy who looks like Fabio and lives on the rooftop of the school, apparently, just stealing kids' money. And they started
50 cents.
They started with the fight, but then he's defeated by these other guys, Ido and Hyde, otherwise known as Airdoll and Rape Whistle, that come in. Because they see the only cool thing I thought about this boss fight was they did use their spells. So this Mamodo has like wind spells, right? So we're seeing, like Sean mentioned earlier, the different elemental powers and the different spell books, or the different grimoire, or whatever you want to call them. But you do see a little bit more of the mechanics of the battle here. It's just, it shows up right at the end, and you don't really get a decent shot at it at all. They just show up, they interrupt a battle that's already in process, and then they kind of start a new one, but then Zatch just blasts him away with that lightning shot that he wasn't even aware he could do, and then it's just like, that's it for now. So we've just had a really brief encounter, but they run away, and then a third tier boss, we're left seeing a like a girl, very proper looking girl, drinking tea with like her tea set, and then she's got this weird fucking goth Mamodo that's just like looking over the railing in the end. You're like, oh, okay, so that's obviously the next level up of Mamodos that we're going to be facing. So
Rich Mamodos.
Rich goth Mamodos. Yeah. I call it Rich Bitch and Goth Mamodo. So.
Oh, because I thought I was going to call it Rich Bitch and just Hot Topics.
Yeah, they look like Hot Topics. The thing actually looks like the demon from like Death Note too. Just looks like a puppet version of the Death Note thing. But yeah, so real quick for me, each of those fulfilled like a certain part of what a boss should do in this episode, but none of them quite had the total package. Like one was threatening but was easily dismissed. One was it fit for the show and what the battles were supposed to be about, but they retreated almost instantly. And another one was teased and had actual power, and none of them really kind of came to fruition for me. So it was just kind of left me a little lukewarm on the boss front. So Sean, what did you end up scoring this for Zach?
I gave for the simple fact that Fabio, our bully, kicked the crap out of both Zatch Bell and Kyo.
Was hilarious, by the way. That moment where like Kyo steps up to him and he's like, I totally got this, and Fabio just beats the shit out of him. That's the only time I laughed in this entire episode.
I laughed so hard during that.
It was hilarious.
I gave for that simple fact alone, I gave it a 3.
You gave it a 3. Okay.
I gave it a 3.
So Tony, what'd you give the boss of this one here?
For I would have been in the same boat as far as the 3, as far as the functionality, if it weren't for the very rapey.
Yeah.
And I'm strong.
Rape boss.
Oh boy.
I'm taking it down to a 2.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm with you with
a spite point on that.
Little bit. Although it's not as the spite point, let me admit, is not towards you. It's towards that character.
Oh no,
it's towards Rape Whistle.
I get it.
Spite points for you will be coming later.
He's gonna change it. Well, actually, that's a great.
That sounded really rapey.
Rape Whistle for you is coming later. Maintain sexual maintenance.
Yep.
Oh boy. So now's a good time to tally up your scores, total up any spite points, take off any more points for rapiness, whatever you need to do. I've got my points. So are you guys good to go? Because remember, we're gonna fill in our last 2 spots in the table here, and then we're gonna get an overall view as well. This is it. This is for Automobiles. So Sean, what do you have for Digimon? What's your total score?
Digimon, my total score was 15.
Okay, 15. That's actually pretty close to your average here. The only one you went bonkers on was Bakugan Battle Brawlers for some reason. Battle Brawlers, not Bottle Brawlers, which is something I would watch. Tony, what did you
They're
have
just
for
playing
Digimon?
Spin the Bottle.
Spin the Bottle Brawlers.
Math. Doing a little quick math here because I had not added this up beforehand. 18.
You had an 18. Come out to. I had a 17 for Digimon. I originally had an 18, but I think I knocked one down at one point. So that's pretty good. We're on the same boat. Actually, for an average of, let's see, is an average of 66.7 for us, which is pretty close to the average on IMDb of 72. So that's actually pretty close. That's not bad. And it actually puts it in, it looks like 4th place at the moment. So pretty good out of 10. Sean, what did you have for Zatch Bell?
For Zatch Bell, my total score came to 17.
You're a crazy person.
I am.
You're a crazy person. Ugh. I don't even know what
if anybody's wondering why we stopped doing this podcast after this episode, it's because of this past month. Yeah.
An unhealable rift. Tony, what'd you have for Zatch Bell?
I'm honestly impressed. This thing squeaked into double digits, so we're up to a 10.
Up to a 10. I was at a 9 as well, but one of the Sean's passionate pleas brought it up to a 10 for me as well. So this actually brings it to a 54, which is well below the average of 70 from IMDb. But now, if you guys are interested, we can go into the rankings here. This is interesting. Okay. So the lowest ranking just for us, Monster Rancher at a 42.7. Monster Rancher comes in lowest, which actually on IMDb had a 73. So that was way off. Maybe it's just testament, as most of these probably will be, to first episode just not quite getting it done.
Yeah.
The next one up is a show we talked about tonight, Zatch Bell, 49.3 average. So me and Tony tanked that one. Sorry, Sean.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, the next.
Wait, how many points is it above the bottom? Like,
it's a good solid 6.5 points up. So from 42.7 to 49.3, it still fails miserably. Yeah. Actually, most of these fail. Nothing gets more than a C+. The next on the list, Beyblade with a 53.3. IMDb was an average of a 67, so we're pretty much on the low side of all these. We're harsh critics. Here's a good one. Coming in next, Yokai Watch, 54.7. That's pretty close to the average of 64, though. That's not bad.
That's not the worst.
Yeah. This next one, okay, now we're kind of the middle of the road with Shaman King. So Shaman King is coming in next with a 57.3, which is actually really close to Magi Nation, surprisingly, next on the list. 58.7.
Terrible shows back to back.
I don't know how that one.
I don't know any of these damn shows.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why they're all the bottom of the list, and they're all like sub.
I consider myself lucky.
Sub 60. All right, now we move into D's Get Degrees categories with the 4th place, just out of the medal rankings. Bakugan Battle Brawlers, 62.7. This is the only one that I can see. It's the only one. No, there's one more. It's the only one of 2 on the list that is actually better than the IMDb ranking. And that's because Sean and Mel ranked this way fucking higher than they had any God-given right to do. Sean has a 21. Mel has a 17. I give this one a 9.
Wow, there was something more decisive or more divisive than this one.
Yeah, Bakugan.
He had some very strong opinions that show.
Okay, so now we get into the top 3. You guys ready for bronze?
Yeah, let's get it.
What do you think it is?
Ooh. I think this one's Digimon.
Okay, it's Digimon. I was going to give you a real strong hint that it was the other show we talked about tonight. Yeah, Digimon is 66.7. Pretty close to the average of 72. Pretty close. Now, the next one might surprise you. This is our number 1 seed coming into the tournament, but it leaves with the silver medal. We're talking Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
We're talking Yu-Gi-Oh! And
that doesn't surprise me.
I blame that on Mel because she only gave it a 15. This was my highest score. This was a 20 for me.
I was never a Yu-Gi-Oh fan.
I loved it.
I actually didn't care for that. That's one of the few on this list that I actually know and
don't care. Yeah. This was so it was 70.7 was our adjusted score. IMDb had it at an 84, far and away the number 1 seed. Actually 10 points higher than our new number 1 pick, Pokemon. So congratulations, Pokemon. You win the Pocket Monster March Madness competition, which makes a lot of sense.
You started it and you won it. Congrats, Pokemon.
Good job, Pokemon. 77.3. C's Get Degrees. which is actually higher. We rank this higher, thanks to our guest, Angie Perko, than the 74 from IMDb. So it actually ranked a few points higher. Pretty good. Yeah, the only surprise is Bakugan Battle Brawlers, and I will fight over that till my dying day.
We should Beyblade over it.
You want to Beyblade over it? You want to battle dreidel?
Battle dreidel.
You want to battle dreidel, buddy? Let's do it. Let's do it.
I couldn't watch anything Beyblade related without thinking about the Crossfire.
Yeah. You'll get caught up in the Crossfire. You've been caught in the... It's exactly
which is
the same
quite
thing.
Possibly one of the best theme songs never to actually be used for a television show. If
I
they would have made a Crossfire TV show, that might have rivaled X-Men for the most epic
song? Let's get the rights to that shit and do it. It'll be a Saturday Morning Cartoons production.
Just start selling the board game all over again. Make a mint.
We should actually, I'd love to put all 10 of these shows together and come up with the ultimate rules for tournament character slave monster battling. That's going to be the name of the show, is Ultimate Tournament Character Slave Monster Battle. It's going to be a great mashup.
Rape whistle.
Rape whistle. Bonus features. I think we're all pretty punchy here at the end of Pocket Monster March Madness month. So congratulations again to Pokemon the Champion.
We did it.
You started it all. You brought it all home. And you can pick up Pokemon, Sun and Moon later this year?
Yeah, Sun and Moon for their 20th year anniversary this year.
So congratulations, Pokemon. You did not sponsor us in any way, shape, or form, but congratulations to you just the same.
We'll still accept money.
Absolutely, we will. Or gifts of any sort. So yeah.
And you mean GIFs, right? We'll accept GIFs
GIF.
of Pokemon episodes. GIF?
GIF of any sort.
Perfect.
Specifically if they involve Pixie from Monster Rancher. Moving on. Let's wrap up Pocket Monster Madness month. Thank you, Tony, for joining us for this episode to wrap up the month.
Thank you, Tony.
Always a pleasure.
Fantastic. Thank you for watching these shows.
Anytime.
And now it's your time to let the listeners out there know what you're up to and where they can find you in the wide, wide world if you are so inclined.
Yes. So you can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at BigTonyVT. And you can find me. Actually, we just launched the Crowded Elevator Pictures website. I don't know if you ever heard of The Grid.
From Tron?
Have you come across that yet? No. No, there's a new web development platform that's actually AI based. You just give it the content and it builds the site for you. And automatically augments it. So I can just feed it posts and it will automatically redesign the page to associate to it. So I'm a beta tester in that program. So the site was completely built on The Grid. So if you're aware of it and want to see what it can do, that's honestly, most of it's done set up and managed from my smartphone, which is impressive that it's a full complete website from that. It's still in development, so you'll see more and more stuff coming, but crowdedelevatorpictures.com.
Excellent.
Great.
And we'll have that all up on our landing page as well, so you don't have to worry about writing that down. Sean, what
there's a lot of Sean in that too, so
there's a lot of crossover.
There's some Sean starring roles in that one.
Sean, buddy, what are you up to?
Well, hey guys, if you want to check out some of the work I've done with Crowded Elevator Pictures, and you're familiar with The Grid, head over to Crowded Elevator Pictures. We're actually going to be competing shortly in the 48-hour film festival that is going to be taking place. So we will keep you posted on that. But if you'd like to see me in the interim do some improv comedy in the DC area, you can check me out at witdc.org. You can find tickets that are there. I perform with a group called Nox. That's NOX ! And we are going to be performing for the next couple weeks as a part of Washington Improv Theater's Fighting Improv Smackdown Tournament, commonly referred to as Yes
Fist.
Fist.
Nice. Gone fisting.
I'll be performing. We've had some dynamite shows so far, and we've been having a lot of fun. So you can find all the dates and times on witdc.org. And as always, you can find me on the Grams and the Twitters at Sean Paul Ellis.
Nicely done. If you're looking for me, you can find me on Twitter at DrClawMD. You can also check me out over at Collider.com, as well as Nerdist.com, where I'm a new freelance science writer for them. And if you're interested in some of my own short fiction, you can head on over to DaveCrumbore.com and read some stories that'll probably keep you up at night with nightmares. So if you're interested in finding out more about Saturday Morning Cartoons, you can do so at our website, SaturdayMorningCartoons.com. Remember, that's morning with a U. You can also find us on Twitter at MorningTunes. Check out Sean's handiwork on our Tumblr page, SaturdayMorningCartoons.tumblr.com. We've got a Facebook page, which has been populated with lots of really cool comments and quotes and memories and stuff from you guys out there. So keep them coming. We love to hear from you. We also have a YouTube page where you can listen to these podcasts each and every week. Or if you prefer the audio podcast only, feel free to listen to us through iTunes and Stitcher. And once again, if you have the time to rate and review us on iTunes or Stitcher, please do so. It really does help the show out. So we appreciate the folks who have already done so. If you would like to let us know how we're doing on the show, if you agree with all of our Pocket Monster rankings, or if you just want to suggest a show for a future episode, send us an email at SaturdayMorningCartoons@gmail.com. That's going to wrap it up for the month of March, Pocket Monster Madness. And from Sean and myself and our very special guest, Tony, thank you again for joining us. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back in April with Back to the Grind. I don't know if we have our lineup yet, but we're going to be getting back to some of the usual stuff. And Sean, this is, I believe, our 94th episode. Do we have anything special planned for, like, I don't know, like 100 something? Seems like a decent milestone.
We have a very exciting episode that's going to be coming up in the future, and I know that this is an audio podcast and that this joke and reference is not going to make any sense. But Tony Lazzaroni is sitting to the left of me, and he is wearing a Batman mask. So yeah, we are going to be getting into Batman, the animated series.
Dun, dun, dun.
I am Batman.
Oh boy.
On that note, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.